Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. So I'm not gonna lie, this episode was kind of disappointing. Not because of the episode itself, it wasn't really that great, but because of the episode yesterday, I kind of wanted to see where I was gonna go. And when I started watching it, in the first 10 minutes, I was really disappointed. I was like, what happened to that momentum that we was going yesterday? I really wanted to find out what was going to happen with Charlie, and Ava, and how he was going to sit there and try to explain this, and nothing today. Wow. With that being said, I want to take a minute or two, because somebody asked me a question, and it erased, and it kind of irked me a little bit, but they pretty much asked me, what was the reason for the hate with Allie? Let me try to explain this the best way I can without cursing, because this woman, as everyone know, I don't... Really? As everyone know, I cannot stand Allie. And it's not just because of the whole rape accusation. That part I can't stand in general. But I just don't like Allie as a character. As a character, she just comes across as very stupid, vapid, and just like... Yeah, very stupid and vapid. And the best way that this person and anyone else that's interested to know of why I cannot stand this woman Allie, it could all be summed up in one scene. The scene where Ava decides to let Allie go. You know? She's like, you could just go, leave, get out of here. And what does this ditzy ass chick does? She decides to come back and say, hey, by the way, you know, that's my grandmother's gun. I don't want to get in trouble. You think I can get it back? Is this chick sick? Like, are you... That scene described just the exact reason why I don't like Allie in general. What moron actually... You know, listen, like, okay. Somebody points a gun at you, and the other person decides to, you know, intervene and save you. What person is going to come back and be like, oh, by the way, just let you know, I took this gun, and I don't really want to get in trouble. You think I can have it back? I mean, I've seen some really dumb people before, and I'm not saying she's the dumbest, but Jesus Christ, woman. Like, really? So that's just part one of why I don't like her. Part two of why I don't like her. Let's get something very clear. When you accuse someone of rape, you better make damn sure that this person actually did it. Okay, you better be like, awake the whole time, not passed out. Make sure that you saw whoever it was. You better be 100% accurate that this person did this to you. Because an allegation like that will follow somebody throughout their entire life. Even if they're found innocent, even if they found the real culprit, there's always going to be a select group of people that is going to think that this person did something. Even the fact that their name is attached to it. Even if they're found innocent and whatever, the first thing that somebody's going to sit there and bring up is, oh, you were in that whole, rape allegation or whatever. I mean, I knew you were found clear, but that's always going to follow this person for the rest of their life. And in the scenes that I saw with her, the fact that she was just like, well, it just has to be him. No, you need to answer the question. And the fact that she was under the influence, and she just now suddenly remembered her attacker, This isn't one of those cases where it happened and she said something 6 months later, 6 years later, whatever. This is one of those cases where she wasn't even sure of who it was. And then her memory just magically came back. And it's not so much that it just came back. If it came back and she was sober, that's fine. But if she had alcohol, drugs in her system, whatever, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff kind of, I'm not saying that, like, it gets him scot-free off the hook scot-free, whatever. But, like, you kind of got to sit there and put that into a factor before you just automatically say that this person did it. And this is before the whole, DNA test. And the fact, okay, and this person asked me, well, what if it was my sister? It's the same damn thing. That answer is not going to change. Now that I got that out the way, and I feel better. Let's go with this episode, because I just honestly, to tell you the truth, let's you know what, since let's go with Jennifer. Let's go with Jennifer and Lucas, because she's another character that's just getting on my damn nerves, honestly. So she's talking to Lucas, and she's all like, sorry for the PSA, but I felt like that was really important, because people ask me a question, I want to be able to answer it. And I always do read the comment section, and if I can answer it, I will. And also, just in case there was any, misunderstanding of why I do not like this character, that's why. So yeah, Lucas and Jennifer are talking, and Jennifer's still like, oh, well, she's still, he's still seeing Kate, Julie told me that, some hotel clerk found Kate with with a guy, and his name starts with J, and, Lucas is like, you know how many people in town probably has their name that starts with J? So, seeing how there's only one person in the scene with a brain, he decides to go to the hotel. Or go to Case, I forgot which one. But they decide to start walking. And I think, they go to the hotel. And they meet the guy, and, they ask the guy the question, it's like, Kate was with somebody, his name starts with J, do you think it could be Jack? And the guy's like, yeah. He doesn't even sound so sure about that. It's like, yeah. And automatically she starts like getting all freaked out and about to start crying and everything like that. I'm like, so that was your proof? Because there's nobody else in town named Jack. So before, they go away, Lucas is like, oh yeah, I forgot, I'm still the person with a brain in this whole scene. So he has a picture, and he asks the clerk or whatever, he's like, does this look like the person that you saw with Kate? He's like, no. And so now she's all happy and everything like that, and I'm like, you're the reason why I'm not really invested with this whole, you and him getting back together. I mean, I've never really been, like, cared one way or the other, but, like, she really does not help the situation because, she treated the guy like crap. And granted, yeah, he did cheat on her. But he'd been trying to apologize and make it up ever since. And especially that one scene when she couldn't even be bothered to look at him, I was like, yeah, you know what? You don't deserve him. So, to be honest, if he would have ID'd her, and let's say Gwen paid, I really wouldn't have cared either way. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. Not only would I have not cared, and I know I'm going to be a dick for saying this, but I'm like, you know what? Good for you. Good for you. Because you treat this guy like crap. You've known this guy for years. You have had a life together. And you know what? He moved on. And that's on you. That is on you. He gave up on you, and I'm totally supportive of that. Of course, that's not what happened, but, in my fantasy, that's pretty much how that scene would have went. So she's all happy, and I guess at some point she goes back to her house. Jack comes in there, and Jack's like, I know you don't want to see me, and I know, I'm not allowed to stay or whatever, but here's a present, and he walks off, and he's like, Merry Christmas, and she's all like, Merry Christmas. Like, I just don't care. Just don't care. What else happened in this episode? Oh, yeah, Jake and Kate are, still playing mattress tag, and, well, oh, that's what wound up happening. It took me a second, because I was, okay, so, after they finished their last round of mattress tag or whatever, Kate gives, Jake a tie, a really nice tie, and then, at some point, we got to talk about Gwen, because this is the only way this is actually going to make some sort of sense. So, Gwen is just being her usual snaky self, and I'm not going to lie, there's a point where, Chad is all like, oh, thank you for this, thank you for that, yada, 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 and I was like, yeah, dude, whatever. And they're under the mistletoe. She's all like, oh, look at that, we're under the mistletoe. And I'm not gonna lie, this scene almost made me want to vomit. Looking at Gwen. I've never actually had a woman to just make me just curl up in like disgust before in my entire life. Until I saw this woman. I'm like, holy crap. This is new. Seeing Gwen hit on Chad, it made my stomach turn. It literally did. I was like, this woman has got to be the most greasiest woman I think I've ever seen in a soap opera. And I've been watching soap operas for a long time. And, yeah, she really makes my skin crawl. And so, happily, Tony and Anna come in, because reasons. So they're all talking and all chumming up or whatever, and at some point, Anna asks about Gwen, she's all like, oh, what's your name? Yada, 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 what are you doing here? And, Gwen is just, like, acting weird. And, like, for a person who, I get that she doesn't want to talk and, like, divulge too much information, but her being really silent and, like, just kind of awkward and somewhat, like, I don't know, distance, but more just, like, kind of rude a little bit. Like, she's not really talking to her too much. She's barely looking at her. It's like you're drawing more suspicion on yourself by saying, by not really saying that much. So at some point, they decide to, Tony and Chad decide to visit, Kristen in jail. I forgot that they were all like siblings or whatever. So at some point, they leave, and you got Anna sitting there talking to Gwen. And it's just weird. It's just weird and uncomfortable and awkward. And she's asking no questions. She's all like, and I mean, granted, to be fair, certain things that she asked was like, kind of intrusive, Like, why aren't you spending time, why aren't you spending the holidays with your family and stuff? And I'm not gonna lie, that question was a little kind of annoying, because it's like you don't know why this person isn't spending time with their family, and it could be something very sad, tragic, or whatever, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but women like that just always bother me, because it's like, they're so, I don't want to say ditzy, or just kind of a dingbat, but they don't realize what they're saying, and how much it can hurt somebody else just by bringing up those painful memories, Like, if they're doing something for the holidays or whatever, there's probably a reason why, and maybe you really shouldn't be asking those type of questions, especially during the holidays. But, whatever, at some point, I don't know if she leaves. I don't remember if she leaves or she. No, she doesn't leave. So she's pretty much just being interrogated by her. Um, and at some point, the boys come back. Chad and Tony. Um, it's not all there. They're all talking or whatever. And I don't know if Abigail's there yet or she comes at some point. But Gwen just like runs off. Like she just darts off, and Anna just looks at her like, what? What was that about? She's all like, I hope I wasn't being too intrusive. I was like, Anna, if you had more of a brain, you would kind of realize that she's being very dodgy and very cagey. You should be worried. Why? Because this person is, quote unquote, their nanny. I would be very concerned, but whatever. So at some point, when Kate leaves his room, creepy Gwen decides to just barge up in Jake's room, and he sees I don't know how she actually got that necklace. Now that I think about it, but she sees the tie or whatever, and she's all like, "Oh, look at you getting extravagant gifts and stuff like that. You never really gave me anything, and you're always like super cheap and stuff like that." And I'm like, Gwen, I'm not gonna lie, you are just looking worse and worse by this scene. Every scene that she starts to have with Jake, it just shows how much of a trash ass woman that she is. I can't help but say that because, it's like you're upset with him, but you're jealous still. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Whatever. At some point, I don't know if now I think about it, I don't remember the scene. I don't remember if Jake showed her the necklace or if she looked at it or whatever. But at some point throughout this party, I guess Gwen must have grabbed it, because Jake went downstairs and Anna's all like, "Oh, look at him. He looks so much just like, yada, yada, yada." I'm not going to lie. I can't remember his name, but, Stephen Demero. Like, he looks so much like him and yada, yada, yada. And I'm not going to lie. She was kind of looking him up and down. I'm like, your husband's like, I don't know, 2 feet away from you? It's amazing how he just didn't see that, but whatever. So at some point, Gwen comes downstairs and she hands Abigail a present, and she's all like, "Oh, just open it now, all Christmas and the holiday and festive and everything like that," and Abigail opens it, and it's like these really nice, like a pearl necklace or whatever. And Gwen is all like, "Oh, well, I didn't give you that. I didn't give you that. I don't know who gave you that." And meanwhile, that was Jake that was going to give it to Kate. And so, Jake steps up and Jake's all like, "Oh, well, I got it." And, this is when Chad's about to pretty much rip his head off. But, Jake is like, no, I got it for you, Gwen. And, in the beginning, they were both looking worried and nervous and stuff. Like Jake and Kate were looking all worried and nervous and everything like that. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. I know that this is supposed to, like, add tension and whatever, but you two idiots realize that, well, I'm not actually telling the truth. You do realize, Kate, that the only reason why you're, like, sweating bullets is because you don't want to sit there and disappoint Chad. Like, you don't want to lose your relationship with Chad. And I'm not going to lie, the guy, again, comes across as a dick and just a pompous ass. So, I don't really understand what kind of relationship that you really feel is worth fighting to have with him, but whatever. But, Gwen, she gladly accepts it, and, Jake is just like, whatever, and, you got Kate that just looks at her with daggers, and I'm like, I get this supposed to add tension, but this is just so dumb, and I can't wait for this whole secret thing to just come out in the open, and, Chad can probably act like a dick, and I could be on my phone until he finishes his little temper tantrum, his little man-child temper tantrum. Not gonna lie, I almost actually dropped the F-bomb, but I was like, you know what, chat, you're not gonna do it to me. You're just not. What else happened? Only other thing that really happened was, okay. There was a reason why she wrote notes on the scene. So Abby is with Jack, and, she's all worried. She's all like, Chad is giving me the cold shoulder, and, he's worried that, I'm sleeping with Jake, and, he's justifiably worried. And I'm like, whoa. Let me get this straight. You're justifying his paranoia and his jealousy. Are you it was already bad enough that she was feeling that guilty about, Chad being jealous and everything like that, but now you're justifying his jealousy, his paranoia, and his controlling nature. Are you... Just give me a minute. Okay, I had to sit there and drop a couple of F-bombs on that one. Anyway, they're doing Christmas shopping, whatever, and that happened, so just kind of move on for that, because if I think about that again... I already don't like that character as it is. Jesus Christ. So, Kristen and Roth actually had this really strange conversation. And by strange, I mean, like, Roth is, like, really nice, and he gives Kristen a picture of, like, the four of them, like, Chad and Tony and Kristen and the dad whose name escaped me. And, he's all like, just, Merry Christmas and stuff like that, and he's just being really nice. He's also like, listen, I want you to tell Chad that, I really apologize for me, pointing a gun at him. And I was like, I know the holiday spirit the holiday spirit does nice things for people and it makes people feel, extra jolly and everything. But this is the same guy that was going to impregnate Kayla with a baby from that guy's name that I just forgot. Like, this dude was literally not that long ago was acting like a mad scientist. December rolls around, Christmas time is here, and now this guy is just like, he's just Santa Claus or something. Oh, okay, sure, whatever. And as I said before, Tony and Chad went to go visit Kristen. Also, Kristen talked to Lonnie, and Lonnie's still being Lonnie, but that's for another day. And by another day, I mean she's another headache for another day. What else? Oh, at some point, Chad talks to Roth. And, he's all like, listen, I apologize, for me trying to, point a gun at you and try to kill you. It's really apologetic. And Chad's just like, nah, it's cool, why even hold a grudge at this point? I'm like, wow, the holiday spirit just, it's just flowing right through you guys. Okay. So they're talking, and, this is where Roth, as smart as he is, and I always sit there and say the smartest people can say and do the dumbest things. At some point, he's asking about Chad's life, his business, his children, and everything like that. And then he slips up and he's like, oh, well, I heard that you didn't want, Jake with you, for Thanksgiving. With you for Thanksgiving. And Chad was like, and who told you that? How do you know about that? And I was like, oops. Come on, bro. Answer it. And I'm not going to lie. He literally took like a good 20 seconds. I was like, is he still thinking about making an excuse? Like, so he comes up and he's all like, oh, well, I heard it from Kristen. And, Kristen probably got to Abby. And Chad's like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And you beat somebody in chess, right? And you really, that whole thing just went over Chad's head. And you just beat somebody in chess. You sure your dad didn't just let you win? Because I don't understand how that just went, okay. Okay. And I think that's about it. I think that's actually going to do it. I don't think I really missed anything, and if I did, I apologize. But I really kind of want to get that whole Ally Horton thing out there. For the person who asked that question, and anyone who's just curious of why I come on here, and I'm just all like, every time Ally's on the screen, it's just like, ugh, this headache again. That's why. And yes, for somebody who's sitting there saying that All My Children is coming back on, or there's a potential All My Children will come back on, yeah. Yeah, there is. And I'm excited. I'm excited, but I'm also worried. Indulge me for like 2 minutes or so. So way back when, early 90s, the 90s, the 80s, early 2000s. Well, probably about around early 2000s is when I felt like soap operas started to decline. See, back then, it's like you didn't really have many options. And, okay, you look at today. Everything is pretty much a soap opera. Everything. Even the most superhero shows like The Flash or any stuff on the CW, pretty much damn near everything on the CW is a soap opera. So when the soap opera started getting canceled left and right, I really wasn't surprised. Somebody said this in a soap opera documentary or something like that. It's like a lot of shows, are kind of built off the foundation now of soap operas. And I was sitting there talking to my dad at some point. I was like, listen, what you're watching is not that different from soap opera. Love, drama, action, suspense, romance. I know I said love, but my point is everything is a soap opera. So I understood why a lot of those soap operas like As the World Turns and All My Children, One Life to Live, they got canceled. And now that they're bringing it back, well, Pine Valley back, it's interesting, but I'm also just like, how well is that going to do now? You had so many soap operas before. Bringing them back now is like, I don't know. But, I hope it actually works out. And I hope they don't screw it up like, Prospect Park did. With the whole moving stuff over to Prospect Park, and we all know how that went. Anyway, with that being said, that's actually going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. I was thinking about doing like maybe a separate video on that, but I don't know. I don't know if I really have too much to add about that, so I figured I'll just say it here just in case. Be safe, be well. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Let me know what your thoughts are. And, for anyone that didn't like my rant in the first 5 or 6 minutes, I'm sorry. But, yeah. I do like to read all the comments.